Membership, episode 104. 2 years straight, no weeks off. Big Dave, myself, and most importantly, the audience and the community. We love you guys so much. Thank you for joining us every Saturday, sharing the show. We have a very special guest on today, the dynamic Dr. Bobby Price. I couldn't be more excited to bring him on. We're waiting for Big Dave. We're going to bring him on right now. And Bobby, we're going to bring you on less than five by the less than five. Where is Big Dave today, and what is going on with his service? Let's get this party started. With you guys, the Lord of Dr. Bobby Price. Dave?
Yeah, what? We got too much energy, man. They wouldn't let me come in. You changed, and it works now. That's awesome.
2 questions. Number 1, how much cute corned beef did you consume? But most importantly, 104 episodes. If my math serves me right, that is exactly 2 years straight, no weeks off.
2 years straight, no weeks off. My son's birthday was yesterday, so we must have started right by his birthday last time as well. So maybe on his birthday even as the years go by. But we'll be here for a long time. I'm committed to people that are committed. And I think, I traveled all over the world this week, probably the most productive 4 days of my life. And with Gary Vee and John Lee and Clinton Sparks in Dubai, Mexico City with 50 of the biggest CEOs in Mexico, from FedEx to Manpower to Cargill to Shell. And you know whose name came up with me? You. People were, they're literally like, hey, can you help me, do what you did for Craig Siegel? And I said, well, I can help you along that path, but you're going to help yourself, and you're going to have to get your ego out of your way and get committed. You're going to have to be, big enough to sit in front of 2 people sometimes. You're going to have to be big enough when you want to do something else to do what you need to do every single day. Because Craig Siegel, he lives in the empty mile. And yes, I can, if you have the skills and knowledge like a Craig Siegel, I can get you to be where Craig Siegel is and beyond, because Craig Siegel's not stopping. But I just can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself. And I can't be honest with you more than you're honest with yourself. And those are the 2 characteristics, Craig, that you have, which is why we're here 104 straight weeks. There was no excuses, no blame, no shame, no justification, no internet problems, no airplane travels, whatever it was that we did. We are here every single week, which is amazing. And so I just want to thank you for proving the model that I created to build my brand, and to show that my brand methodology is scalable. And you're my archetype of empty mileness.
That makes me a little emotional, actually a lot emotional. And I take pride in being your best testimonial. But also the lesson there that I want everybody to understand is you can't always control everything. But one thing that you can control is showing up, is your effort, is your commitment. And sadly, that's where I see most people fall off track, is because they only do it when they feel like it, and not the days they don't. And just to be clear, I always feel like showing up with you on Saturdays, but it's not just this, it's everything, right?
Yeah, and I think there's an emotional attachment to an outcome of wanting things that you think are important that aren't, or wanting things and attaching your emotions to the things that you want, instead of attaching your emotions to the consistent, persistent pursuit of what you want. And, everyone, it's great to be honest, to travel with those guys and who I got to meet and see over 4 days. But the highlight of my week and the non-negotiable of my life was my son's birthday yesterday, right? I was back in America. I left Sunday night, and I was back in America on Friday morning at 9:30 a.m. and I had an extraordinary day with my son for his birthday and his friends for his 13th birthday. So it's not just being present in building your brand, it's being present as you're engaged and being present with your family And your health is the other area that a lot of people don't see, Craig Siegel. Health is a non-negotiable for you and I. Now, you're 20 years younger than I am, and so you look more healthy than I. But you know, people, when you turn 55, because I know most of the audience is younger, you know, this is what you look like when you give a minimum of an hour a day on your health.
It's so good that you brought it up, because success is not dominating in just one avenue, right? Like I was years ago. I look back now, I realized I was not successful. Success is dominating, or at least making the effort in all aspects. And it's, go ahead. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, yeah, weighted balance, right? Like we talked about a weighted balance. It's all aspects that are important to you. Me, first non-negotiable health, second family, third activity I get paid for. And within that context, you know, I get a lot of free time. I dedicate 2 hours and 17 minutes a day to my health, to my family time, and to the activity I get paid for, meaning prioritizing the activity I get paid for. That means that I have 21 hours and 43 minutes a day for the activity I have paid for, the activity I have don't get paid for, activity planned, activity I don't have planned, and my sleep. So, you know that I am a time freak, and I utilize time with productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. One of the magical things that occurs is that when you really get intentional and attentional about how you're utilizing your time, the only thing that'll overwhelm you in the prioritization methodology is how much time you have, not how much time you don't have. And even within the context of how much time you have, you'll know that you can't get everything done in a day, even though you can't believe how much time you have in a day. And so that's what is also so important about having non-negotiables and applying a minimum amount of time to the non-negotiables every single day.
I'm really excited to bring on our guest, the dynamic Dr. Bobby Price, who's definitely going to be the most handsome cat today. While I bring him on, Dave, I wanted to ask you this, checking out your content. I love that you do this, but I want you to tell the audience why you give away your best content for free.
I give away all my content for free. So some of it's bad content and some of it's my best. But I let other people determine at their frequency what content they like. I believe that, my frequency is my skills, my knowledge, and my desire. So I want to give away all my content for free. I give my books for free. I sign them. I send them. I pay for shipping and the book. All my books, exercises, guides, all my content's free, because the bigger the community, the more I can listen for. And the more that I listen for, the more I'm more interested than interesting, the better I can serve value to the community. And when you serve value to a community, it will serve you. And my community serves me. I have so many options, opportunities, and touches of favor that my entire business model is how can I capture those? How can I go ahead and distribute those, not only internally, but externally to people like you two and other friends of mine? And then also, how do I prioritize what I want to do each day with that, as I stated, 21 hours and 43 minutes each day, 7 days a week. How am I going to go ahead and prioritize the activities I have planned and I don't have planned? So I think everyone, if you're not giving all of yourself, acknowledging it, giving to me is more than just intentional giving. It's accepting the fact that I'm going to lose stuff. It's going to be manipulated from me, cheated from me, lied, all those things that I used to waste emotion on, thinking, oh, how could I lose over $100 million? How could I let that guy cheat me? How could I let them lie to me? It's just going to happen. But the one thing I've learned, Craig, and then I'll hand it over to Doc, is when you don't have what you had before, right? You talk about giving what you have for free. The only way you could acquire the knowledge of what you had is not to have it anymore. So I see when people lie to me, cheat to me, manipulate me, and I don't have it anymore, I got the better of the deal, because not only did I acquire the knowledge of what I had, I also got some dummy tax to understand lessons of human nature in which I can facilitate to other people and build even a greater community to save them the dummy tax that I've paid. But go ahead, let's hand it over to the hero. You're right. He's definitely the best looking one in this
Dr.
room.
Bobby,
And smartest,
thank you so much for joining us, brother. I'm a fan, and I'm really excited to connect. How you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic. fantastically well. I appreciate you guys bringing me on, man. I have had the opportunity to watch both of your content and the positivity that it radiates from it, and also the balance in that, David, you talk a lot about family, you talk a lot about values, you talk a lot about the bigger picture. And so I'm excited to be able to come on here and have this conversation because I know it's going to be expanded.
And for our audience that might not be familiar, our best suggestion is do a deep dive on Dr. Bobby. Check out all his content. It's awesome. What's most valuable, in my opinion, right now is we just have an unbelievable conversation. There's so many places we could take this conversation, but Bobby, just a couple things that you speak about that I think are really important for today is detoxification, cleansing. Cleansing gets thrown out a lot, fasting, stuff like that. Why is that so important and something that everybody should consider?
Yeah. So, so just to give everybody a little bit of background, my background is that I'm a pharmacist and I worked in a hospital in a clinical setting, and I also worked for the FDA. And so my whole sort of mission and purpose was, you know, growing up, I wanted to go to school, become a healthcare professional, and teach people how to heal themselves. Well, I loved chemistry, but what I discovered was, in terms of healing, I was on the wrong side of chemistry. Okay, so there's two sides. There's one side that is natural, and there's another side that is unnatural. And I was trying to heal from the unnatural side. And what I discovered in that journey was that a vast majority of people are either sick or ill. I mean, everything from, you know, depression to anxiety to even digestive issues can be leaked back to toxicity and deficiency. And so as I started looking at that equation and seeing all of the foods, reading the labels, looking on the back of them, and noticing that I'm a chemist, so I understand what it means when I see a lot of that on a label, and most people don't. And I understand also how that affects the body, how that affects the organs, how that affects the brain, how that affects energy, how that affects sleep. What I said was, well, let me go on the other side of chemistry, which is organic, the living side of chemistry, which is food as medicine, which is herbs, and see how that works now. And as I started to discover that, what I saw was that many of the herbs that are on earth, especially the most powerful ones, the ones that I use in my detox, those are the ones that pull heavy metals out of the body. They pull all of that water that is causing you to be swollen and inflamed in the body. They pull out all of that waste that is building up in the abdominal region of the body, because most people have between like 10 and 25 pounds of just undigested fecal matter just sitting in their gut, and they call it a belly, but it's really like they're just full of poo. And so, and so it was like, all right, so if healing starts and begins in the gut, then we got to start there. And of course that starts with food, and secondarily it starts with, you know, it's like a garden. You know, if you started a garden, then got really busy because you were going all around the world, attending to, you know, conferences, and then you come back and the garden has weeds all over it, the first thing you got to do is get rid of the weeds. All right. You get rid of the weeds. Now you got to make sure the soil is healthy. And now that the soil is healthy, now you can plant a seed. And then after that, you can nourish it. And so that's sort of my philosophy on things, but it starts with detoxification because you got to get rid of the waste. I mean, even if we talk about relationships, the first thing you have to get rid of is the toxicity in the relationship, you know, so everything starts with elimination first. And I think that's
Dave,
really
I want to hit
important
this,
when we
but I
talk
gotta say
about
this,
healing.
no pun intended. Dr. Bobby makes this stuff very digestible, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. In fact, I was going to go a step farther and say that Dr. Bobby and I do the same thing. I just help people that are full of shit in their mind, not just in their stomach. And so many people are lying to themselves, which is obviously, but, you know, at its core, you know, I talk about how food should be medicinal, but it's also true that our food is dis-ease, right? And I always say our natural state is ease, and you and I have the same philosophy in life to identify what's putting us at dis-ease.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to determine what foods are medicinal still. And in the past, food was only medicinal.
Yep.
And it wasn't that long ago that children in America, especially, a very few percent had chronic disease, inflammation, a lot of cortisol, plastics, toxicity that exists today. Over 50% of the kids today have chronic dis-ease. And it stems from what you were talking about, that we are not educated in what's interfering with our ease, and being able to find that. So I think shifting our paradigm of just understanding that we are naturally at ease. I talk about, I am healthy, I am happy, I am wealthy, and I am worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it? You actually facilitate with the detox and other things, identifying what we're doing to interfere with our natural state of being. And it makes it a lot easier, instead of thinking we have to go get healthy, to think about it in the context of, hold on a second, I am healthy. Here's what I'm doing. This is what I'm eating. This is what I'm not doing movement wise or mindset wise to put me at dis-ease. And unfortunately, and then I'm gonna hand it back, Craggy Poo. You know, I'm an energy guy, and there's a lot of energy that you deal with. Obviously, I've been really focusing and doing research, both in physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics, about energy. And there's three basic characteristics that help me to describe to people about nutritional behaviors that apply, because all behavior is energy, all money is energy. You know, some of what Craig and I do to people with that energy. But here's what you do, and I want everyone to reach out to Dr. Bobby, because he really helps three things. One, aggregation, right? Energy aggregates on itself. So that's why you have 25 pounds of poo in your stomach, because it's aggregating. Energy aggregates on itself. Then worse than aggregation is in bad behavior, in bad nutritional behavior, in dis-ease activities, it also compounds on itself. So good behavior also, by the way, compounds on itself. But the difference between good behavior and bad behavior when it compounds is that when we do good behavior, and you see this in nutrition, we expect instant results. Oh, Dr. Bob, 14 days, I'm all healed. Right? And then they go back to bad behavior and aggregate 25 pounds of poo again and all kinds of dis-ease. So good behavior and bad behavior aggregates. And then even worse, it accelerates in a bad behavior. When I say worse, it's a great thing that when you're in good behavior, but it starts accelerating on yourself. So you get three great benefits of good behavior that you're expecting. And then there's three of bad behavior, which you don't expect. So that's why, and I joked around, this is what a 55-year-old healthy man looks like. But the one area that's the hardest is my lower abdomen, right? Where, I look and say, man, if I worked out like this as a 25-year-old, I'd look like Craig Siegel. Oh my gosh, and here at 55, I still got the little punch, and people, on my social media is like, dude, you talk about being healthy and you're fat, but it's because of aggregation, compounding, and acceleration, and it's really important. But the nice thing is, because of science and because of practices and education and knowledge, we can have a replay. We can got a redo, and we can get that soil back to where it's supposed to be, back to our natural state of ease.
No, first
go
ahead,
ahead,
up today, and this is awesome.
Notice I said Craggy Poo. Am I on topic
no,
today?
This is an awesome conversation. It's so viable. I'm learning a lot. And so many cool nuggets we could take this. I have to ask this one, Dr. Bobby, and this one may or may not be for Dave. What are some foods that we can avoid that kill our sex drive?
Ooh. So the best way to look at it is look at it from the end point going back. Okay, so what happens when you lose your sex drive? What happens when you lose your ability to have an erection? You end up getting a drug called Cialis or Viagra, right? Now, what does Cialis and Viagra do? The whole function of those drugs is to increase blood flow to that area, right? That's all it does. And that's actually a side effect of the drug. It's not the actual effect of the drug, because initially Viagra was used for the heart, but it caused so many heart issues that they didn't only use it for erectile dysfunction. Okay, so we got to improve blood flow. All right, so if we work backwards from that, then what makes the blood healthy? What makes the blood flow? Like the river, right? Well, you get blockages, right? And a river doesn't flow. So what things will block a river? Okay, and let's think of it in terms of blood. It will be eating a lot of unhealthy fats. Okay, it will be eating a lot of sugar. Because think about it like this, like in the South, we have like, they do tea, like, you know, but when they do tea, it's not like tea. It's like sugar with some tea. And if you get like the real good kind from the South, if you like pour it out on the counter, it will aggregate. It will literally sit there clumped up as if it's coagulated like a blood clot when it's a lot of sugar in it. Well, when you consume a lot of sugar in your diet, it's going to make your blood very viscous, very thick, okay? Now, that's what happens with an oil change too. That's why you have to get one, because the oil begins to get very thick and it ruins the pistons inside of the car. Well, it's the same thing. One of the primary things that you have to do to make sure that you have a healthy sort of sexual lifestyle, libido, etc., for men and both women, you got to have healthy blood, because the blood is the river of life. It goes everywhere in the body. So the blood, number one, has to be healthy. It has to be thin. It has to literally be like water and not like not like the smoothie that I got right here. All right. So that's the most important part. You gotta have the blood flowing like a river. Okay. The second thing that is most important, and most people don't actually sort of think about this one, but hormonal balance, because so many people have issues with hormones today. It's not just women, it's men too. Okay, so women are having a lot of issues as it relates to PCOS, which is often tied to insulin, which is actually a hormone. Okay, and it's a fat storage hormone too. Okay, and it's an inflammatory hormone. Okay, also women are having a lot of issues with estrogen dominance, a lot of estrogen in the body, and a lot of that is actually coming from all the plastics, you know, BPA, phthalates that they put in a lot of things for preservatives. So it's, again, like you remember when I was saying in the beginning, a lot of it is what you don't do. Okay. You know, you got to get in a state of all this doing the wrong thing to get in a state of being and being aligned with nature. Okay. So that's two of the most important things, is getting your hormones in balance, because both men and women are having issues with that. Men are having issues now that the testosterone levels are at an all-time low. You know, I was on another show and I was talking about in the 1980s, the average testosterone was somewhere around about 500 to 600. And then it dipped in the 1990s to 425. And in the early 2000s, it's 325. And now I'm hearing it at 200 consistently now. So as you can see, we're and what men don't understand about this is your testosterone shows up in your life. It makes you motivated. Okay, it makes you want to work out. It allows you to build muscle. I mean, it does so much more for you. And women need testosterone too. So that's what I mean by like hormonal imbalance is a really important part of the equation, but also making sure the blood is flowing.
You better keep it thought for this one.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've had experience in understanding the drop in testosterone. I've worked with Optimal Health Systems, who create organic supplements for me and do live and dead blood cell analysis to even go a step further. Not everybody can obviously afford that, but I have my own chief formulator that's looking at what I'm doing. But I will say I'm still thinking about taking this detox, because, you know, as I work out, as you know, religiously, and I love to work out, and, you know, I have two things that help me with my testosterone and free testosterone. So I don't utilize what a lot of other guys kind of cheat the system, and you know that can cause some unhealthy things if you're shooting up with this stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, and I see that in my friends now as they're getting older. You know, different things are happening like cancer and heart attacks.
Yeah.
So I use, you know, free testosterone. It makes a big difference, because I went from 250, right? I was average 250 into 600. But the other thing that most people don't have that I have is I've been married 25 years, and you know, I found this gorgeous woman. So, you know, I never realized I had a problem because she's so beautiful and I'm not. I just, you know, kind of beat the odds in that side as well. But I think it's important for people to know that, you know, I'm a cheater when it comes to that side. And everybody should find a beautiful blind girl like I did if you look like me. So that helps. But it is important because within the context, someone put menopause, for example, you know, everybody is a unique organic being.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that I have also found through Optimal Health Systems that I work with is that, you know, quantum nature is genetics. And we all are born at different levels, and I call them our basements. And it's really important because you cannot compare with other people. You're your own fingerprint. And, you know, when you're looking at this, that's why you have to reach out to someone like Dr. Bobby, because they're going to meet you where you're at, right? Like I had a father that smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, lived on sugar. Like literally the candy bar was his snack of choice. It was his meal of choice. But because of the genetics that I have, both my grandfathers lived to 97. You know, he lived into his 80s and never had, you know, a heart attack. Never, you know, he literally should have, in my opinion, if he had different genetics, he would have been gone at 35. You know, like, people would be like, "Oh my God, he was a born heart attack waiting to happen." But genetically, you know, even my doctors, when they look at my blood, they look at my actual being, they're like, wow, you're just blessed. You were born with a great immune system. They can actually show you, and Dr. Bobby can tell you, they can show you how your cells are processing protein. Like in a live blood cell, they can show you who you are when you look at the blood. It's amazing. So I just wanted to bring out the personalization, why it's so important to have people like Dr. Bobby, because we need people to help us know where we're at, not just some general one. You know, when I was young, you were supposed to just take a 1 a day, right? Yeah. One supplement for everybody. Like what we know now, how ridiculous is that? And we also have to realize how many toxins are in the actual foods that we eat, and more important, the water that we drink. So, yeah, you know, please, if you're listening to me, you can be as healthy as you think you are. Run marathons like Craigie Poo up there. But please reach out to Dr. Bobby, because we need to know where we're all at. And science is extraordinary. Our technology is extraordinary. There are ways to live. We should live to about 120.
Yep.
That's what our cells are made to do. You know, get the most out of your life. You know me, Craig, I want to live to over 111. I started on this journey a little too late to get to maybe all the way to 120, but I'm going to live to over 111 with help from people like Dr. Bobby.
Yeah. And Dave, you know what's so important about what you said about your grandfather and great-grandfather that is different for us is that for at least half of their life, they ate food that was all organic. There wasn't an organic section at the grocery store when they were growing up. They didn't have to deal with the pesticides and herbicides and insecticides that we have to deal with today. They didn't have to deal with EMF coming from cell phones, computers, and televisions, and so many other things. So they didn't have to deal with genetically modified foods. They didn't have to deal with any of this stuff for at least 50 years of their 97 years. So they built a health foundation that a lot of us will not ever get the opportunity, and especially the children today who are born in the 2000s will never have the opportunity to do. So that's why it's so important that we take care of our health better than our great-grandparents and grandparents, because again, they can smoke a pack a day because again, they were eating organic. They were eating everything fresh. I mean, the refrigerator didn't become popular until the 1950s. So everybody literally would go to the store the day of to get their food. Everything was made from scratch, and everything has sort of, you know, morphed into what it is today.
Dave will land the plane with this. Dr. Bobby, you do so many things so well, and the audience is in for a treat for today. And so they're going to start following you and so forth. But aside from health, one thing that you talk about often, which really resonates with everybody, is killing your excuses. Why is that so important to you, and how do you do that?
Well, the real reason why you have to kill your excuses because they're coming from the lower vibrational side of you. We have a higher vibrational voice in our bodies, and we have a lower vibrational voice. And that lower vibrational voice is coming from fear. It wants no pain. It wants nothing that has to deal with you going through anything that is going to challenge you. And as a result, what happens is we start to listen to the lower vibrational voice in our bodies. And so we start to eat things that are fast and quick to eat. And so we start to tap into people who have lower energy just like us, so we can validate the excuses and the choices that we're making in our lives. And so for me, like, the reason why you have to kill your excuses, because what you're doing in a sense is killing that lower vibrational voice that is going on inside of you. It's always two voices. There's a divine voice that is always speaking to you, and that divine voice wants you to grow. It actually wants you to be challenged. It wants you to see that life is not actually sort of creating what I would call punishment for you. Life isn't punishing you. Life is happening to you because it's happening for you. And so when you start to shift and kill those excuses, what you see very quickly is that a story is being written out about for you. And all of it is for you to achieve and to become the highest version of yourself. And essentially, I know a lot of people will hear me talk about herbs and detoxing and eating healthy and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, my message is become the highest version of yourself. And here's the cool thing. The highest version of yourself is attached to you becoming the healthiest version of yourself. Because we live out this life experiences through our senses, you know, through our vision, through what we taste, through what we hear, through what we feel, all of these things. That's how we have this life experiences. But there's a sixth sense that we get in touch with when we get very healthy, because that's what we were designed to do. We were designed to come down here, eat natural foods, be a healthiest version of ourselves, and get divine downloads coming to us when we don't have the answers and we feel lost. But the unfortunate thing that we do is when we eat things and live a life that is very toxic, we block our senses. You'll see our eyesight starts to go away. You'll see our sense of taste, like, you know, like for instance, like we have a farm in Miami, and this is a custard apple. Most people can't taste this the same way that I taste this. You understand? So that's what I'm trying to get people to tap into, is to get to that higher version of themselves, so that not only can they see, feel, taste, and hear, but they also can be intuitive on a divine level when it comes to having this life experience.
Dave, take us home.
Yeah, well, obviously he's speaking my language, because life comes through me is really an indication of what Dr. Bobby's talking about, not even just for me, through me. And also our vibration, our frequency equals our awareness. This is the divine downloads that Dr. Bobby's talking about. We can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than us. And so as we elevate our vibration, our frequency, what is called a divine download, which is something that is not just in information, right? We inform ourselves. Where do you think that information occurs? Through that. And this idea of blame, shame, and justification that 99% of the people on earth live by is in the realm of three stages of accountability. One is, what are you taking responsibility for and learning from? What are you attracting into your life energetically, and what are you learning from? And what are you participating as a perception of, and what are you learning from? And when we live above the line at our best and higher self, and we consistently pay attention and give, as Dr. Bobby said, 5 levels of intention. What are we doing every day, saying every day, thinking every day, believing every day, and feeling every day? In that understanding that intuition, intellect, and inspiration are collaborating at all times together to elevate our frequency, our vibration, and our awareness. See, when we elevate our vibration and awareness, life tells us all its secrets. And just like a video game, if you have all the cheat codes, you can win those video games so easily. You can win at life as well. And people like Dr. Bobby, they've understood and have those downloads of the life cheats that are necessary when we raise and elevate our vibration and our frequency. The truth vibrates the fastest. I want to thank Dr. Bobby for joining me. I do want to have you on some of my shows, Dr. Bobby, to talk about plant-based things, and how do we distinguish what's truly organic or what says it's a plant, but it may be a genetically created toxicity or interference in our life. I got to jump to my coaching calls. I love you both.
Yeah, Dr. Bobby, thank you so much. Looking forward to staying connected. I'm better for this conversation today. Thank you guys for spending time with us. Have a great weekend.
All right,
Bye, guys.
take care. Peace.
Wow.
Peace, guys.
Safe to say I just got a lot smarter from that. Hope you guys did as well. The Paradigm Shift episode 104 in the books. We're back next week for episode 105. If you guys want to do anything for me, go follow Dr. Bobby. He's on fire. He's got a ton of wisdom. He's dynamic. He kills his excuses, and he's awesome. That was a special conversation. To be honest with you, I can't wait to rewatch it. If you guys are loving the show, which I imagine you are, if you're with us for episode 104, keep sharing it. We love you guys. That was so much fun. Wow. Especially on foods and stuff that blocks our blood flow, aka giving us a better sex drive. I just thought that was interesting. All of it was interesting, straight up. Holy shit. Yeah, and I'm definitely going to try detoxification cleansing as well. So there's that. Ken, that was a great testimonial in the beginning, too. Grab that. All right, guys. I love you. Let's have an unbelievable weekend. I'm running the New York City half marathon tomorrow. To be honest with you, this is the first time I'm going to compete where I'm not expecting to PR or run my best. I know that sounds weird coming from me, a performance and mindset coach. Here's the thing. I'm all in my career right now, and I'm not all in on running, and that's okay. What I am going to do is still get inside the arena, and I'm not married to the outcome. I'm going to have some fun tomorrow. I'm going to challenge myself. I'm excited for the challenge. I might even get my ass kicked, and that's okay because I'll be better for it. The Reinvention Formula coming to a bookstore near you, August, baby. If you guys aren't already in the texting community, you can text us below, totally free. Nuggets, wisdom, all that stuff. Love you guys. Let's have a great weekend. Practice some gratitude and take the things that Dr. Bobby was talking about today and implement them. You dig. Love you guys.